Greetings, grade 9, and welcome to your 11th lesson in economic applications. Our name of the chapter is called Sectors in the Indian Economy, and today we are studying the importance of agriculture. In the last class, you learned that in order to study the Indian economy, you can break up the Indian economy into sectors. And when you break up the sectors, you can either break up the sectors on the basis of occupation, on the basis of the place where people live, or on the basis of ownership. So when you break up the Indian economy on the basis of occupation, we have the primary sector, secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. Now let us analyze the primary sector. The primary sector is essentially that sector which deals directly with the free gifts of nature or the resources that comes from nature. And one of the biggest industry in the primary sector is the agricultural sector. To remind you, industry is a collection of different firms or different units that are involved in the production of one particular commodity. So we have a steel industry. In the same way, we also have agricultural industry. It involves each and every one in any business unit or any kind of units that is involved in agriculture. So our Indian economy is reliant heavily on agriculture, and today we are going to study how agriculture plays a very important role in the Indian economy. And in order to study that, we will make use of the mnemonic. By the way, mnemonic means a memory aid. The mnemonic NEF FIT D. The N in the mnemonic NEF FIT D stands for national income. So, the most important reason why agriculture is so important in the Indian economy is because it contributes a large amount to the nation's income. The nation's income is the total production that takes place in the entire year in the country. So in India, if 100 rupees worth of goods are produced in the Indian economy in 1 year, at least 12.2% or 12.2 rupees of goods have their origin from agriculture. So agriculture contributes to almost 12.2% out of every 100 rupees that is produced in the Indian economy in the entire year. So you must be wondering that 12.2% is not a very big number. Well, you have to understand this number in the context of the entire world and other countries. In all developed countries and in very advanced countries, agriculture contributes at the most a maximum of only 5% of the total income in a country. But in India, the amount of money that agriculture contributes is supposedly a very large amount if we consider that the maximum that developed countries get from agriculture is only 5%. The second E stands for employment. In India, almost 50% of the population is engaged in agriculture. They depend on agriculture for their livelihood. And most of the people, they are engaged in agriculture because of the lack of literacy, and in agriculture a high level of literacy is not required to work, and also because most of the families in India have their association with their land, and therefore they go back and work in the land, and because of that, this is the main reason why most of the people are involved in agriculture in India. Also in India, agriculture contributes to the production of food grain for people and fodder for animals. At one time, India had to buy food or food grains from other countries. But at the moment, we are self-sufficient, and that is a huge achievement for the Indian economy. In 2005 to 6, the total food production was almost 208.3 million tons, and at the moment we have it is estimated that almost 270 million tons is an average production in our country on a yearly basis. And because of that, our imports in food grain is minimum or almost nil. Also, agriculture helps us to earn very valuable foreign exchange. Foreign exchange means dollars and pounds, and as you all know, dollars and pounds has to be stored inside the country to buy technology, to buy essential goods and services from abroad. And in order to store this foreign exchange, we have to sell something to the foreign countries, or we have to export something. And because of that, our Indian agriculture contributes a large amount of the export from which we can earn foreign exchange, dollars and pounds, which later helps us to trade and bring in many other important goods for imports from countries from outside. Our industrial development also relies heavily on agriculture, because most of the raw material for the industrial sector comes from agriculture. You can think about cotton, you can think about jute, you can think about on the oil or food. So most of these are very important inputs for the industrial sector. In the same way, the industrial sector will do well. They are able to sell their goods only if agricultural sector does well, because the large population is dependent on agriculture, and only if they have earned money will they be able to buy products from the industrial sector. Also in India, a large amount of money and trade is involved in agriculture. So when businessmen, they trade in goods and services, or they buy and sell goods and services, most of the goods and services that is between states, inside the states, mostly comprises of agricultural products. Also, the transportation industry is also dependent highly on agricultural goods, because most of the goods that are transported from one place to another or from one state to another mostly comprises of agricultural goods. And if agricultural goods or agricultural production is high, therefore employment in the transport industry is also very high. So therefore, I would like you to remember the mnemonic NEF FIT D in order to understand the importance of agriculture. N stands for the fact that agriculture contributes to national income. E, agriculture is giving almost employment to almost 50% of our Indian population. Food and fodder is supplied by the agricultural sector in India. In India, we are proud that we are self-sufficient, and our food production is always above 240 million tons. In our country, most of the foreign trade is on agricultural goods, which helps us to earn foreign exchange. I for industrial development, that industrial development depends heavily on agriculture. T for transport, the transport industry depends heavily on agriculture. D for domestic trade, the trading of agricultural goods is one of the most important trade in our Indian economy. Revise over this lesson by looking at your text and the scan of the text that has been sent to you. Study well. Thank you and best of luck.